"Get out! This school doesn't feed freeloaders." The room went silent for a beat, then the little snickers spread like drizzle. The girl with the faded backpack froze by the counselor's desk, hugging an overdue invoice as if it were an oxygen tank. Her shoes were clean, but worn down. She looked at me the way people look at a locked door. Only one voice stepped in. "That's enough," the homeroom teacher said, low and steady. She set a hand between the girl and all those eyes. A useless gesture, I thought. The world runs on numbers, not mercy. Soon, everyone would learn who the old man with the paper bag really was. Like, subscribe to see what happens next. 7 p.m., a cheap apartment block. I sat in my car, streetlight pouring across the windshield. The girl counted exactly $10, slid the bill from the rubber band cinching the invoice, then tucked the 10 back for groceries. Frugal, futile. I woke my screen. My delinquency dashboard burned red. Her household back at the top. Quotas don't care about grocery money. Next morning, HQ sent a memo. Past due, rate up, fix it fast. I ran Atlas Credit's regional recoveries. I believed in friction. People pay when life chafes, in the right place. My team had already knocked on that door twice. Hospital copays, utilities, our unsecured line. Classic risk profile, soft targets orbiting her, the mother especially. I swung by the school on a community relations slot. The counseling office had called Atlas for financial verification. I stood near the notice board, a suit making me invisible during office hours, while students streamed in and out. Then she showed. Same backpack, same careful step. The counselor sighed loud, pointed at the sheet. "If your mother doesn't pay, we can't approve," which means no aid, no exception, no leniency. I didn't need to say a word. I just watched how she squeezed the paper, as if ink could alter a life. Out in the lot, I ran into the homeroom teacher by the flagpole. "You're going too far," she said softly. I smiled the polite smile. "We follow the rules, ma'am." That night, my field lead pinged me. "The kid's mom is at the hospital. Do we press?" I typed back, "Follow the manual. Make consequences clear." I trained staff. No swearing, just shape the imagination. Fear does the rest. Late, I drove past the bus stop. Drizzle. She paused by a bench where an old man hugged a crumpled paper bag. She dug out her wallet, pulled her last 10, gave it to him. I laughed. Broke but proud, I said to myself, rain hiding my voice. I didn't know the city camera was aimed straight at that bench, but I would. Monday morning, a black sedan slid to a stop outside our Atlas branch on Main. I arrived as security was still bowing. The rear door opened. The old man from last night stepped out, coat neat, shoes polished. Not a vagrant's posture. An aide with a briefcase followed. I eased past them without looking up. My turf, 9:30, internal huddle. I spread a stack of invoices across the table, like war trophies. KPIs ugly, I said. Prioritize soft asset cases, student aid, medical bills, payroll accounts. Heads nodded. The field lead asked to swing by the hospital to jog the mother. I nodded. Use the manual. Record the call. No insults. They laughed. They know I don't need insults to make people choke. 10 a.m. Reception slid a business card onto my desk. Heavy stock, embossed logo. Name, chairman of the foundation that controls Atlas through an investment group. I paused a beat, then heard myself smile. Curtain up. I called the field lead. Pause field for 30 minutes. Let me verify. He grumbled, obeyed. 11 minus, small conference room. The old man sat across from me, hand resting lightly on the case. His aide set a USB on the table beside the card. I narrowed my eyes. Sir, Atlas complies with federal recovery standards. If there's any complaint, our HR and legal. He didn't look at me, only spoke to the aide. Set volume to medium. His voice was husky, not weak. I want to hear last night's recording. A clip played from the phone in the center. My staffer's voice. No profanity, just a metal comb dragged across skin. If you don't pay today, your mother's hospital bill could be held up. I said could. In my head, I saw the teacher clench her fist. I kept my posture. We did not violate anything. That's information about financial consequences, not a threat. He didn't argue. He nodded to the aide. A spreadsheet lit the laptop. Your region's fee ledger, the aide said, nudging the USB my way. Process support fee. Late system, fix fee. I recognized the shadow fees we slotted under subcategories, internally called padding. I had signed them months back after skating past HR reminders about FDCPA and CFPB. I looked away. The glass showed a calm, proud man. I liked that reflection. What do you think, he asked, voice even, of a girl who handed her last 10 to a stranger? I shrugged. Character is irrelevant. A contract is a contract. So eyes, what you see, don't matter. He tilted his head. The aide played the CCTV clip, the girl pulling a $10 bill, handing it over, bowing, rain tapping the roof. I watched, blinked. Nice, I said. My job isn't to applaud. He closed the laptop. I hear, ears, your after-hours calls. I see, eyes, access card logs, showing your guards, bypassing protocol so your team could tail that family. And in ink, this USB, I read padding. Tell me, what would force you to swear in front of people? I swear everything is lawful, I answered coolly. I'll sign any minutes legal needs. Legal's here, he said, eyes flicking to the corner. Our counsel, I hadn't noticed when she entered, already sat there. She slid a minute sheet toward me. Please sign to confirm your recorded statement, she said. I signed. Steady hand. I've lived on the wire. By noon, I called the field lead. Back to the hospital. Follow the manual. Don't say anything about the bill. I stressed, but left the door ajar. Could is still could. Afternoon KPI had to rise. I needed a few quick hits to keep HQ from peering into our padding. 1:30, the homeroom teacher walked into the branch. No appointment. She set a file at the counter. A preliminary complaint to the CFPB. I helped the family write it. Front desk looked at me, flustered. I stepped out, pasted on the procedural smile. You can file online. We'll respond within the time frame. I did, she said, eyes locked, and I kept the emails you ignored. She wasn't lying. People like her don't invent details. 3 p.m. The partner bank called first, a risk manager's voice. Directive to suspend Atlas's supplemental limits in your region. We need to review the fee policy. From whom? I asked, though I knew. The guest from this morning. He said, hesitant. I gave a dry laugh. Temporarily, I assume. Yes, until 4 p.m. Haki kair of hiker homie. Online kaigor canes. Oz salt upward. Follow the cold email. Presenter remediation plan before 4 p.m. Also, audit expanse. Class action risk. Read it 3 times. I knew the game. They wanted me to absorb a few individual errors to keep the fire off policy. I rang legal. We need a narrative, I said. Bad apples, blame the front line. I'll sign internal reprimands. Not enough, counsel replied. The foundation wants a public commitment. HR is drafting an apology. Read whatever you like, I said. My chair stays. 3:40, the old man's aide sent another file. Access card logs from the night at the bus stop. Timestamps lined up. My security had opened the gate for Field to tail the family. I could dump a few procedural sins on them. I texted, quick meeting tonight. Anyone off protocol gets a written warning. I needed blood to keep the fire lit. 3:50, the teacher returned. She stood with the girl at the glass doors, still hugging the old invoice. The late sun threw their silhouettes across the stone floor. I looked at them like a minor disturbance crossing the street. I told reception, invite them to the boardroom, floor 28 at 4. HR will be present. You want them up there? I do, I said even. We're transparent here. 3:55, my desk line rattled. Caller ID, partner bank. I hit speaker. We've received indications, the risk manager said. If there's a written policy change by 4 p.m., we'll consider restoring the limit. Of course, I said. We're Atlas, not a corner shop. I killed speaker, straightened my tie. I could hear my heart even. I picked up the business card, flipped it. One handwritten line, see you upstairs. Neat script, blue ink. A chill ran my spine. I knew why. His silence all morning hadn't been patience for my collapse. He had waited for the system to bite its own tail within a day. Eyes, ears, ink done. For oath, he wanted it out of my mouth in front of a crowd. 4 o'clock. The elevator chimed. I stood, gathered the USB, the invoice, the card, slid them into my case. The glass doors of the 28th floor room showed silhouettes. HR, legal, a few local reporters, the teacher, the girl. I knew the old man stood inside, back to the door, looking out at the city. I inhaled. My hand found the steel handle. The boardroom door began to open. The room was bright and cold as a block of ice. Glass walls reflected faces holding their lines. HR to the left, legal across. A few local reporters at the far end, scribbling. The teacher and the girl sat together, the girl still clutching the old invoice. The aide set the USB in the center like a heavy stone. The old man stood at the head, back to the city, then slowly turned. I knew those eyes before I knew the name. Not a drifter, not a guest. The chairman of the foundation that controlled Atlas. The first flip needed no noise. The room breathed in at once. He didn't do long intros. I'm here because of a $10 bill, he said, gaze skimming me and settling on the girl. Because a young person gave away her last bit without asking for it back. He tipped his head, voice even. Also, because a bonus policy turned into a blade. I gave a thin smile. Our policy was approved by the board. I just executed it. Legal lifted a pen. Executed what? Please state for the record. Executed what's lawful, I repeated. I've committed to that. The aide plugged in the USB. The screen filled with ledger sheets, columns like a fence of little spears. These are process support fees, late system fix fees, she said. Logged in your region, 3 consecutive quarters, abnormally high. Optimization, I said. I call that optimization. HR typed fast. Optimized for whom? For recovery rates, I said. For shareholders. For you. I heard myself lecture. I used to believe every word. The old man didn't debate. He signaled. The aide played the CCTV from the bus stop again, now for everyone. The girl handing over the tin, the bow, rain ticking like a metronome. The room grew so quiet we could hear breathing. He killed the clip, set his business card beside the USB. Eyes, he said. Ears. He tapped the phone and let the recording run where my team used could, like a wire brush on skin. Ink. He touched the USB. Then he looked straight at me. Now. The oath. My hands tightened on the chair. What do you want me to swear to? Swear, in front of everyone here, that the padding is lawful and humane, he said. Say it loud enough for the press. A few reporter eyes lifted. I weighed each word. Part of me wanted the win. Part of me knew the game had changed. I chose the middle rope. They are lawful under our interpretation, I said clearly, and necessary for efficiency. Necessary to make people afraid, the teacher said, speaking for the first time. I heard you say could. I teach literature. I know the weight of one vague word. I looked at her. Ma'am, we didn't insult anyone. Right, she said. You engineered humiliation. The old man nodded, like he'd waited for that line. Second flip, he said, without raising his voice. Not the fault of one person, the fault of a bonus system, and the fault of oversight. My foundation should have done better. Heads turned his way. I froze a beat. I had expected him to toss me to the crowd. Instead, he stood in the light with me. Legal placed a stack of papers before me. We propose a policy correction package and a refund fund, but we need someone accountable for the way it was executed. Her pen tapped the bottom line where a signature belonged. You. Where do I admit fault? I asked, if the policy was approved above me. In how you turned it into a weapon, the old man said. In the emails you ignored. In the access card logs you let your people game. In the could calls. My throat dried. I could dump it downward. I had names ready. In the glass, my reflection still looked calm and proud. It hadn't cracked yet. The desk phone lit. I hit speaker. The partner bank's risk manager came through. We're waiting on updates. If we see a written policy change by 4:05, we will restore your limit. He paused, weighing words. And we want a verbal commitment now. The old man looked at me. Do you want to say it? I swallowed once. If I spoke, I tied my own knot. If I didn't, cash flow choked. I picked the softest rope. Atlas will immediately end all non-transparent add-on fees, I said, each word dropping like a stone. We will refund affected individuals. Send written confirmation today, the voice replied. I'm recording. A reporter raised a hand. What will this girl receive under the new decision? I leaned back. It sounded like a question for someone else. But the old man watched me, waiting. I understood. This was a public speaking exam, and the subject was ethics. The mother's hospital costs will be covered by the foundation immediately, I said. Interest and add-on fees will be wiped. And her future? The teacher asked, eyes steady. I looked at the girl. She still held the invoice, like a past she hadn't set down. I exhaled. Atlas and the foundation will award a 4-year scholarship in her mother's name. A written letter of confirmation today. The old man gave a small nod. HR opened a folder, pulled out a letter with a bold header, slid it to the girl. She didn't touch it at once. She looked at the old man. He smiled, a wrinkle checked like a tick mark. Then she reached and tapped the edge of the paper as if testing water. Legal drew another envelope from a drawer, set it before me. HR's embossed logo. I knew what it was at a glance. "Notice of termination," she said evenly. "Effective today." I laughed, very softly. "Do you want last words for the camera?" "We want your signature," she said, "and we want you to say, 'I'm sorry,' in front of the people you turned into numbers." I could have walked out. I could have smashed the ritual. But I looked at the glass. This time the man staring back looked smaller. I felt another cord around my neck, the cord of a story that would be told again. I clicked my pen. I turned to the girl. "I'm sorry," I said, without decoration, for engineering humiliation and calling it efficiency. The room held. No applause, just the scrape of a pen. I signed along the line. The ink bit deep like a cut. HR took back the envelope, handed me a copy. I tucked it with the business card and USB in my case. Heavier than I expected. The old man took a handheld mic, looked straight at the reporters. "We apologize publicly," he said. "We're establishing a settlement fund for refunds and restitution. We are wiping every threatening script in any form. We're launching a hotline and inviting CFPB oversight. And we are naming a scholarship after a mother who taught her child to give." He turned to the girl. "Thank you for the $10. The teacher smiled. For the first time, the girl's shoulders dropped a notch. Reporters fired questions about other regions. The old man didn't dodge. "Audit expansion starts today. No one stands outside this story, including me." The last line wasn't to look good. It was his own oath in front of everyone. When the meeting broke, the hallway stretched like thread. I walked, the case tugging my arm down. The teacher came the other way. She stopped. "Will you look for a new job?" "I can survive," I said. "I'm good at my craft." "Then change crafts," she said. "Change the part you're good at." She left without waiting. I watched the elevator seals meet. In that click, I remembered the bus stop rain, the small hand offering a tin, the word "could" like a thorn hidden in a pillow. I opened my case, touched the USB, the termination envelope. 3 stones. I knew I'd carry them a long way, the way people carry 3 reasons not to repeat one mistake. That night, I detoured to the bus stop, tin roof ticking, city breathing steady. Another old man sat for the late route, hugging a paper bag. I reached for my wallet, stopped. I didn't give money. I sat and asked about his bus. He smiled, told me about a wife long gone and the fear of hospital letters. I listened a long time. When the bus came, I stood and left a thin envelope on the bench. No logo, no words, just a rest note. Next day, internal email fell like hail. A new training plan, FDCPA checklists, audit calendar. The local paper ran, "Atlas apologizes, sets refund fund." My name sat under, "Has left his position." I thought I'd feel shame. I felt light, not unguilty, just lighter because the word "could" stayed behind on that table. A week later, a parcel arrived, a letter with the foundation's crest, not meant for me, a misdelivery to my box. The addressee was the girl. Inside, beyond the scholarship confirmation, was a color photo. She stood beside the old man, holding his business card, smiling with caution. I slid the letter back, walked it across the street, rang the bell. The teacher opened. She looked at me, said nothing, but nodded enough to say we'd share a short stretch of the same road. I turned away, hands in my coat. In my pocket lay my old access card, already deactivated. I bent the edge until it arched, then dropped it into a public trash can. The clink was small, no one noticed, but to me it was sound. In America, fairness doesn't come from promises. It comes from black and white paper, from switching on a speakerphone before a crowd, and from putting your signature under your own name. Follow to see the next flip sweep through a whole system, not just one company.